Hello guys, and today we are going to be kicking off proper on the HTML and CSS course. So I'll just be diving right in. Um, so I would just give the course overview today. I've separated the course into some modules because since what we're going to be teaching is extensive, we cannot just I find it redundant to talk about everything I'm actually going to be teaching about. So we're just going to be looking at the modules now. We're going to be looking at HTML, then CSS3, VS Code, text editor. We'll be using VS Code text editor and JavaScript. So the first module is going to just be about HTML setup, elements, attributes, etc. Then we'll move into our second module, which is the HTML project. We'll be creating the HTML project. Then we'll be going into CSS tutorial, cover the general setup, rules, selectors, colors, units, typography, units in CSS. Okay, I think that was repeated. The box model, display options, background images, transition, animation, flexboards, and grid layout. Then we'll be doing our first HTML and CSS projects. Then I'm still thinking I may just have to separate JavaScript into another course in its entirety to properly deal with it. But for JavaScript, we'll be looking at variables, data types, operators, loops, functions, classes, the DOM, document object model, and etc. And we'll be covering VS Code, Nifty extensions, Emmet snippets, live server, format on save, and cover some basic VS codes to improve our development workflow. So that is the general course outline. We'll be looking at HTML5 first, and along the lesson, VS Code is not like it's going to be the last thing I'm going to teach. Along the lessons, I'm going to be introducing some snippets and some keyboard shortcut just to make your workflow easier and faster. So I believe VS Code would be for the best practice if you're going to be coding any language at all. VS Code is my first choice. Then I was using Atom, but once I discovered VS Code, I just had to switch because it was much or personally to me, I just feel it's much easier to work with VS Code. So if you're a newbie, it would be best to follow strictly. But if you have your own, if you're not new to coding, you have your own preferred text editor, Notepad++, Atom, Sublime, or whatever you're using, is fine. You can follow along. So without further ado, let's dive right into HTML5. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it is the basic. By the way, before I continue, video is going to be hands-on. This intro section is probably going to be the only slideshow, or there will just be very few slideshows along the line to illustrate, but video is going to be hands-on practice. So we're not going to be using much of slideshows. It's just for, or I'm just going to be using it if there are certain things I want to illustrate or explain, or if I'm going to be introducing the next module. So HTML is the basic building block of your web page that gives structure to your web content. HTML consists of elements. Elements consist of opening tag, the content, and the closing tag. Now you can see this nice image. Tags are placed within the angle brackets. So this this whole image constitutes an element. An element is made up of the opening tag, which is this angle brackets h1. This h1 contained in angle brackets. The content, which is this heading, the content you place within the opening tag and this closing tag. So you have this opening tag and this closing tag, and the closing tag, what differentiates the opening tag from the closing tag is this forward slash symbol. So you have the opening tag, which has the name of the element. In this case, we're using h1. It's not always going to be h1. H1 is just an example. It stands for heading 1 if you're new to this course, because I'm taking things from scratch, so I believe that some people have not experienced coding yet. So h1 is not like your codes are not just going to have h1. There are different things that are going to be inside here. H1 is just an example. For instance, you might have img here, which is the image element. So whatever is in your is within your tag is the name of the element. So in this case, we are using h1, which stands for heading 1. Then content would be whatever you want to put on the web page, whatever you want displayed on the web page. That will be your content. Then you close your tag, or you close your element by using this closing tag and putting the forward slash before the name of the element. So I'll go over it again. An element consists of the opening tag, the content you want to be within that element, and the closing tag. So you have your opening tag, your content, and your closing tag. So this constitutes your HTML element. Now we have some special elements, or should I say I will just tag a special element. These are elements that don't have a closing tag. You just use just one tag for this element. Now HTML elements are going to be having attributes, but we see that when we actually start coding. So to get us started, you would need only two things to get started coding. You will need your text editor, which will be using VS Code. We are going to be downloading VS Code, and you will be needing your browser. I'm going to be using Chrome browser. So you will need just your text editor and your browser, and you're good to go. You can start coding HTML and CSS or JavaScript, whatever, with just these two softwares. So I'll be proceeding to teach you guys how to install both.